Welcome to the Utopia newscast. WARCAST, June 7th, year 0, age 92, the age of ancestry, World of Legends. This is your host, Wind, signing on. Today we're going to look at some of the wars that are going on in the World of Legends and just, look at them briefly. We don't want to spend too much time looking into them. I just want to give you a quick overview of what's going down. All right, let's dive in. All right, so we'll start here on the target finder. Now, there were several wars that we didn't get to touch on the last time, so we've got to play a little bit of catch up, and we're going to look at all the wars, all the way down until 7 hours there. Appears to be the last one, Lord of the Rings and Unnamed Kingdom. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, so StarCraft recruiting versus Message for War. Let's take a look at what happened here. Oh, it looks like this war has ended. I believe we may have looked at this one in our last video. But as you can see, it was a very nice tight war in terms of the land, exchange, and net worth. Yeah, so there's a nice back and forth waves here. But as you can see, Message for War just had the upper hand most of the time. Seems like StarCraft was kind of pulling it back a tiny bit, but ultimately they realized they weren't able to just pull back enough. So of course they withdrew around here to Message for War. In terms of the honor side of things, let's take a look here. Okay, well, StarCraft gained honor here. So it's not bad for them. They did pretty well overall. They managed to keep for the most part, they gained honor from this war. They actually looks like they kind of broke even on their land. Actually, the gains, no, actually at the end, yeah, they kind of broke even on their land. So good on them there. That's a pretty nice war. In terms of, it's a bit late to look at the damage on the provinces now, so we'll just skip ahead to the next war. So what do we got here? Evil Friends versus Recruiting One Attacker. Sounds like this war might be over already. Let's take a look at the land exchange here. Yeah, this war is definitely over. This is definitely fairly one-sided war. Whatever Evil Friends was doing here in terms of the land, they were definitely not able to take it back. And wow, you can see here, it's not often that they'll maintain a kind of somewhat steady course, although it is in decline here. But they were maintaining a fairly steady course here until Recruiting One Attacker broke off and managed to gain upper hand. Likely some attacker provinces were disabled and TMs are gaining the upper hand up here right up until the withdrawal. Let's take a look at the honor here. Again, these are kind of out of protection wars, new wars, so in most cases honor is going to be looking like this until we get to about year 1. It should like everyone should kind of more or less be a lord or at least a knight by that time. That's kind of what everyone's looking for. So in terms of this war, definitely Recruiting One Attacker definitely stomped Evil Friends. So that's the end of that war. Let's go on to the next one here. Unnamed Kingdom versus Unnamed Kingdom. Oh, come on, guys, really original. Come on. And obviously, here's another example. Again, we're just looking at land here, first of all. Let's just say red Unnamed Kingdom and blue Unnamed Kingdom. They were definitely on even terms, but blue Unnamed Kingdom really opened strong here. Something they did obviously hit hard, and then whatever this pump was clearly taken advantage of by red Unnamed Kingdom, and they just rode that through the rest of the war. As you can see, there's no spots of convergence here. So blue Unnamed Kingdom, after that, whatever that attempt was here, they were unable to pull back from that. Let's take a quick look at the net worth. Pretty much tells the same story. Red Unnamed Kingdom more or less seemingly in the lead until blue Unnamed Kingdom makes a big move and basically loses somehow through that big move. Most likely an inflated honor net worth province that red capitalized on and took out. So that would explain the drop there. Let's just take a quick look at the honor just for the sake of it. Oops, I think I did that too many times. Let's just go like this. And we'll just take a quick look at the honor. Yeah, see, it's more or less the same thing. You can see there's red was sapping up some honor and then managed to whatever blue did, seemed to sap a bit of red's honor, but they quickly gained it back. So good on red for dominating in that war. Come on, guys, pick some names. On to the next one. Let's take a look here. We got Unnamed Kingdom again versus Sesquipedalian. Okay, we're getting a little bit closer to wars that haven't finished yet. Again, you see here Unnamed Kingdom. I mean, Cesc, we're just going to call him Cesc for now. Cesc looks like, they're kind of in the lead here, but, Red's making some big moves. And Cesc is just kind of looks stabilized, almost growing a little bit with whatever they're doing, probably just training troops and filling in some acres, while Red is, slowly coming back with some movement here. It's hard to say exactly what they were up to in this time here. Maybe people were just max gaining a little bit. Looks like they took out a fairly big target here. That would have been Cess taking out the red target. And then, there's a point of convergence here. And then, they diverge where blue is in the lead, Cess is in the lead, overpowering red again. But then red manages to pull it back in an interesting exchange of land here, especially since Cesc does end up coming out on top. Let's take a look at the net worth here. Definitely tells a similar story. Cesc is kind of in the net worth lead from the start of the war, more or less in the middle, and Red seems to be making a good go at it. They're making a good try. Likely, what happened was, Red was losing their attackers down here, and they noticed that Cesc was gaining some TM unbreakables probably, and they tried to make a big move. So they had some inflated attackers probably here that were doing best gains. Maybe didn't have that much left at home. And Cesc was able to take advantage and take out those attackers, whoever soaked up all the acres. But ultimately, it seems like um, Cesc has taken this war. Although it seems like a very close war. I mean, especially in terms of land, it definitely came down to the provinces here. Let's take a quick look at the honor. Yeah, definitely came down to the provinces here because I mean, they were pretty much on par. Red had a good advantage. But somehow Cesc was able to pull it back. Whatever they did here was a big move that took back a ton of honor, and they ended out on top there. So good on them for that. Whatever their strategy was, it worked out really well for them. Let's go on to the next one. Kingdom versus Unknown Kingdom. Hostile, please stay out. Nobody really pays attention to that anyway. It's kind of just a, hey, hit me. Good, good. This looks like a fresh war, so let's take a look at the land here. Looking good, looking good. Okay, now in this case we can see what's going on here in terms of damage. So let's see. Looks like Ninja Turtle and She-Hulk. They're focusing on avians and orcs here. It looks like there's what they're doing the most damage to in this dwarf and fairy. They seem to be doing a range of damage on this kingdom. Same thing here. They're kind of picking a few targets, focusing on them. Looks like it's mostly dwarf and avian on this side. Let's take a quick look at the net worth to see what's going on. I mean, in terms of the provinces, they got some 3 provinces under 200 acres, whereas these guys still have no provinces over 200, or sorry, under 200 acres, but still the net worth damage is pretty close. So whatever they did, they must have taken out some of these attackers must have had more elites or something like that. But then again, elites aren't really worth that much anymore. So maybe that's not the case. Maybe that was just a more built up province when they were taken out compared to their fellow provinces. So let's take a look at the net worth here. Looking good. Okay, so it's hard when these guys pick such ridiculous names like come on, Kingdom and Unknown Kingdom, Hostile, please stay out. Like, okay, so anyway, Unknown Kingdom, we're gonna say Unknown is blue and Hostile sorry, Kingdom is red. So Unknown seems to, have started in just barely in the upper hand position here going into the war, and they were pretty steady up until this point here. But whatever was going on this exchange here, likely dropping those provinces down, was what really they did a lot of net worth damage here, as you can see, looking at the change here. There was definitely more net worth damage inflicted on Kingdom's side by Unknown Kingdom. So I mean, Blue was definitely able to do a lot more net worth damage to those attackers. Whether or not they took more land out of it remains to be seen. But they are on track to win this war at this time. Definitely, Unknown Kingdom. Even though they have attackers that are low on land, they also have some very high attackers in comparison to the kingdom here. Obviously, you can see these guys here have taken off. They're basically on their way to become cows now. So, there's not too much time left in this war. Taking a look at the honor side of things, it's still a very even fight in terms of honor. Both sides fighting really hard. Kingdom, of course, somehow must be doing a lot of ops because they are managing to hold the honor here. So they're still doing a good job. I mean, both sides seems they both have a good amount of fairies as well. So I mean, they both should have a good amount of TM power. Again, looking at the change in net worth here, you can see that again, it seems to be province for province. There is a good amount of net worth damage done on both sides, except there is a good amount of growth as well on Unknown Kingdom. That's the blue guys here. So they must be sacrificing some of those honor hits. Maybe what's going on here is Red Kingdom here is just making more best gains hits now, or maybe they realized a bit late that hey, it's time to start chaining some of these attackers, and that was one of their good waves, was taking out those attackers, or possibly one of those attackers was taken out in a previous wave. It's hard to say without seeing the beginning of the war. So let's move on to the next one. Looks like we got haven't decided yet war versus the schizophrenic cocktail. Let's take a look at the land. Oh, and this is another war where it ended in a pretty sure victory. I mean, it kind of started, looked like, usually you think the kingdom that starts on top has the best chance to win, and most times that's the case. I would just say it's a misuse of resources, likely is what happened here. Possibly Red had a bit more strategy going into this. Schizophrenic cocktail definitely took the land side of this war. Again, on the net worth side, pretty even. Blue, though, was starting on top. So, the schizophrenic did a really good job controlling net worth and land at the same time and taking away their quick look at the honor side. Again, same scenario. They're more or less even. I mean, going into the war, you can see schizophrenic cocktails definitely making all the right moves and just capitalizing on whatever it is that blue wasn't doing, possibly just a lack of experience. When you don't go into a war with a solid plan, um, or in this case, it looks like they had one less player as well. So that's that could very well be what tipped the war for them. Right at this point, right here, having that one province less can really do a number on you. So maybe their strategy was on point, but that one extra player that Schizophrenic Cocktail had definitely did them in. But it comes down to who you're attacking and whether you're chaining or doing what I like to call micro chain. So again, good on Schizophrenic Cocktail for taking advantage of the situation and getting that war win. I definitely hope haven't decided yet. War has gotten a good taste of war after this one. That in most cases it's good to hit up and take on the bigger opponents, because sometimes a smaller attacker or a smaller opponent isn't always a guaranteed win, and when you are a player short, you can very easily find yourself getting out hit, especially if you're short of attackers already to begin with. All right, let's take a look at the next war here. Unnamed Kingdom War versus Deep Space 6-4. Okay, let's take a quick look at the land here. Now let's see. Okay, again, here we go. Red starts on top. See, this is the opposite scenario where Deep Space is the bigger kingdom going into this war, and Unnamed Kingdom is the smaller kingdom going into this war. And it seems like a fairly even exchange here leading into the first few waves, which you can actually see kind of right here and here. These areas here are kind of, the lead into the waves, and another one here. And as you can see, blue seems to have made some big moves in terms of the land that gained them some form of upper hand, but that again could have just been inflated attackers, because as you can see, Deep Space pulls it back and takes the win here. Let's take a look at the net worth. Again, similar story. Red's the bigger kingdom, blue's the smaller kingdom going in. Blue takes the upper hand after a few waves, few exchanges. I mean, red probably just picked better targets in terms of who they were attacking. That's really all. They're both even in terms of the numbers. This war has been over for some time. However, So it looks like, I think this was under a 4-day war, so this is probably a min-time war here. So good on Deep Space Six for getting that nice win. Good job, guys. It looks like it was a pretty decent, hard-fought battle, and you definitely deserve the victory. Good job. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Sons of Anarchy versus the Duck Says Quack. Okay, Duck says Quack. Let's see what we got here. Wow, those are some nice waves. Look at the land exchanges here. They go into the war. Sons of Anarchy takes a good amount of damage in terms of the land. Duck says Quack stays fairly considerably similar. There is some convergence here. But it doesn't seem that Sons of Anarchy, no matter how good their chains were here, they were never quite able to grow beyond the Duck Says Quack. Whatever they were doing, they probably had a stronger economy. And again, here, that's much more evident in the net worth. You can see just the damage done here in that first attack really brought them down below that net worth line. And you see again here on the next wave, they get hammered just above that line. And again, they're right here at this line again. But again, the wave knocks them below the line, and again the next wave knocks them below the line, and they're really able to rebound. Meanwhile, Dux's Quack is growing the whole time into the victory. Probably a bit of a prolonged withdrawal there. Um, However, this war again looks like it was almost a min-time war, so good withdrawal. It's just sometimes these graphs can be misleading. Again, the honor tells the same story, fairly even going into it. Red makes some big moves here, but clearly never enough to stop the Duck Says Quack. This probably came down to setup here, guys. Looks like a lot of dryads versus a lot of orcs. And in this case here, Duck Says Quack won. So, it looks like they got a lot of op power here. Halfling, gnome, some fairies, some elves, probably their casters, some dryads here. So obviously it looks like the dryads outlasted the orcs here, but they got a nice mix of orcs and undeads here. Um, so they probably just had a good counter to this setup here. I mean, these orcs would have had nice gains here, but again, it's easy to take out their armies when you have so much op power. Again, this war's been over for some time, so it's not the best time to have looked at it. But again, as I said, we're playing catch up here. We hope to get to all the wars, and eventually we'll be caught up to the point where we'll just be reviewing wars that are less than 48 hours old. But we still have to get to that point. So let's keep going here on to the next war. We've got the Themeless War versus we have a random theme. I believe we looked at this one before. Clear victory here for random theme. I mean, the land says it all. This war is probably about min time or maybe 12 hours after min time. Again, I'm sure with any of the kingdoms, if you mention them in Muga, we'll be more than happy to clarify how long their war was. But again, here, this is a clear domination of we have a random theme. Themeless again, one player short here. So I mean, this really came down to them being short one player. But again, it looks like they may have had a stronger sustainable attack force, which probably won them the war at the end. Again, plus one extra player is most likely attackers, especially this early in the age. Most people are attackers anyway. So, an out of protection war, one province down is really, you really have to have a lot of skill, a really good plan. Really coordinated attack force to beat a kingdom that's on point with one extra province, especially an attacker in this out of protection situation. Again, you see we have a random theme. They're fighting hard here. You can tell by the honor, but they just never seem to be able to pull them below this line here. Red's always staying on the top, while Themeless doesn't seem to be able to break past the line. As we have a random theme just stays on top of them. So that's it for that war. Good on random theme. Looks like it was still a hard fought war. So good job, guys. It looks like a nice war. Next war is DKDMnu versus PillowTalk. Let's take a look at the land here. This war again has been over for some time. I'm happy to see actually so many quick wars. People are definitely capitalizing on that ceasefire because they're recognizing what the situation is and trying to walk away with as much as possible. Definitely looks like PillowTalk walked away with a lot of acres or as much as possible. As you can see here on pretty much every wave, they're dominating until finally DKDMu surrenders. Again, let's take a quick look at the net worth. Tells the same story. Pillow Talk really, every wave just dominating and dominating, and DKDM and you is doing a good job of trying to stay above that line, but Pillow Talk is just growing and just doing too much damage on every wave for them to stop them at this point. As you can see, again, looking at the honor indicates how hard fought the battle actually was. You can see the indicators here. Pillow Talk really capitalizing on their ops and their marches and just sapping up all that honor. Again, maybe that has something to do with the races that they're running here. DKMU, mostly dwarfs and fairies, versus Pillow Talk, avian, dryad, dwarf, fairy, human, orc. So it's possible, the humans and the orcs looks like they're pretty big as well, managed to get away. But also, just dwarf versus dwarf here. But these guys probably just ran out of offense, is all I'm thinking. But never had enough defense at home to stop these guys from pushing their way in. So obviously strategy played a good part in Pillow Talk's win here. So good job, Pillow Talk. DKDMnu, definitely a good war opponent. Looks like a great fight, even though the net worth and the land might seem otherwise. If you look at the honor chart, it definitely indicates a hard-fought war. It's just Pillow Talk was doing a significantly more damage and lasting damage over the time. Um, but again, they see they managed to pull out basically, a little bit above where they went into the war down here. So I mean, again, these kingdoms are growing. They're not exactly just giving away the farm. Let's go to the next one, Winx Club versus Wargreed. Wow, there's a lot of 4-day and 3-day wars. I'm shocked at how many there were actually. I'm happy to see that. Wow. Okay, I mean, Winx Club definitely, even though they started big, they suffered a lot of setbacks clearly, almost right away, and they were never able to pull back from Wargreed. Eventually took the victory. This is a pretty significant victory here. They were almost down 2 net worth bars, or 2 land bars rather. Let's look at the net worth chart. Again, similar story. By withdrawal time, they're almost 2 net worth bars apart. That's a pretty significant victory for Wargreed here. But again, I'm not sure if Winx went in with 2 less players, but definitely if that was the case and Wargreed was a very skilled kingdom, there's no way that Winx Club would have been able to take them out. I mean, again, when you have the strategy and you're taking out the attackers in a timely fashion and have the more offense and enough defense to hold your acres, you run into situations where being short a province is really just a losing battle, especially up against the better kingdoms that have more experience in finishing up those mid-time wars. Again, you can see in the honor, this is a fairly one-sided war, again, probably because of the 2 extra province lead that Wargreed had over Winx Club. Definitely looks like they tried their best, but again, they did maintain their kingdom, so good on them for that. Let's go on to the next kingdom here, or next war rather. We're getting along pretty nicely here, but this is taking a considerable amount of time to catch up to where we need to be. So taking a quick look at the land, what the fuck are you looking at in Worms? I believe we did look at this war before. As you can see by the land, a very hard-fought battle. Going over to the net worth side, you can see some near convergence by what the fuck you doing to and Worms, but Worms seems to just be pulling away. Whatever they're doing on their waves, they're doing a considerable more amount of damage. Again, this war has been over for some time. Again, you can see it in the honor here. There's a big move by what the fuck are you, WTF you looking at? But Worms is still able to recover from that, and on the next wave, they do a subsequent amount of damage to them. Good enough that WTF clearly concedes victory. And again, WTF is shorter province, so I'm not really surprised that kingdoms with both very solid tactics and being short 1 or 2 provinces is actually probably the reason they lost the war in the first place. Going on to the next one, we are the Bros versus Urban Dream. Let's take a look at the land. Good, this war ended not too long ago, still a good amount of time ago. Looks like it was 12 hours past min time, roughly. Looking at the land again, it looks like a pretty decent exchange here. Urban Dream's definitely taking off at the end here. Let's take a quick look at the net worth. Okay, Urban Dream, the bigger kingdom going in. We are the Bros, trailing just a little bit behind. But they do manage to pull ahead here, probably on a good wave. But Urban Dream strikes back, and Bros is never really able to recover from that. Again, Bros is short one province. I can't confirm if these provinces are leaving, after the war is over, or if they were, there was a province or there were provinces there in the previous kingdoms. It was a real stomp out in that case. But if they were short provinces, then both sides have really good honor and really good players and a really good war. And again, as we cover more of these wars and videos, we'll kind of catch up to the wars that are already in progress. This will be a daily video, so it'll get to the point where it's about 10 to 15 minutes, I would hope, depending on the wars that are currently in progress. Again, looking at the honor here, we are the Bros, Urban Dream. We are the Bros, more or less on top until they concede to Urban Dream. But see, We are the Bros is pretty smart here. I mean, they were really taking advantage and sucking up all that honor. So it's not like they left the war with too much. I mean, this little dip right here might indicate that they had lost the province. So even though they may have been doing more op damage and doing better hits and soaking up that honor, that wasn't enough to take the net worth and the land and win this war. But I mean, they did walk away with again a little more than what they went in with the war into. And with their 4-day ceasefire, they can easily grow more than a kingdom that didn't go to war. So, even a loss here is not technically, it's a tactical loss. You still get to grow a little bit. You get your 4-day ceasefire protection from the server. What's not to love about that? Let's go on to the next war. Nice. War started 62 or 76 hours ago. Tentacles versus the Woods. I think we definitely covered this war before. Cell is the monarch of this kingdom. He talks a lot of Muga. We talk a lot, but I mean, again, they did a good job maintaining their net worth going into the war. They grew a little bit of net worth probably on their conversions and things like that. But going land-wise, they walked away with again more than what they came in with. So good on them for maintaining their kingdom in that regard. It was a nice even battle. The Woods, mostly dryads and fairies. Or maybe this isn't Cell's kingdom actually. This is somebody else that would. Good fight. But again, here we go. Nice dryad and fairy fight. That's pretty cool actually. Miss Walker's. That's pretty sweet. Huh, and fairies. Okay, versus avians, dwarfs, fairies, and orcs. So definitely a lot of gains on there. I'm not sure what these dryads are. We'd have to check to see if they're pure or not. But they definitely walked away with this one. So I mean, in terms of honor, they did a great job conquering honor. They did a great job capitalizing on net worth, and in terms of land, they really did a good job walking away with this one. Yeah, this is definitely not Cell's Kingdom because they didn't win the war. This is somebody else named the Woods. I think I'm getting two of them confused. Sorry about that, guys. You guys kicked butt. The Wood, maybe you could teach my friend Cell a lesson on how to war because it looks like you guys are really good. So anyone out there, probably careful of this kingdom. It looks like they really know what they're doing. Good job, guys. You really kicked butt. You took the honor. You took the land. You took the net worth. But again, Tentacles, you did a pretty good job maintaining what you already had, so good on you for not giving the entire farm away. On to the next one, Romania versus Unnamed Kingdom. This is the kingdom I'm not sure. I think they're somebody, but I'm not sure who they are right now. Again, you can see this war is over, but unfortunately, my Romania kingdom that I'm hoping somebody did not win this war. But again, that's not always a loss because again, if you look at the land, they actually grew and are continuing to grow in their ceasefire, it seems like. So, good on them for taking advantage of the ceasefire. But clearly, after a few waves, Romania didn't really know how to deal with Unnamed Kingdom here, and they basically walked away with it, growing to above the net worth bar here. Well, Romania, while they rebounded and were able to maintain their position above this net worth bar here, they always, they were never able to rebound back. So as you can see here, push them pretty good portion apart. Looking at the honor, again, it looks like, Unnamed Kingdom was dominating on every wave, probably had a lot of good ops going, whatever they were doing, they're coordinating really well. Wow, mostly avians. Okay, so they had a speed army here versus an orc army backed up by halfling. And fairly a solid combination. Unnamed Kingdom, definitely a kingdom to watch out for. Great job, guys. You really kicked butt in this war. Looks like it ended pretty quickly too. A good maybe 2.5 day war. It looks like. Let's move on to the next one. Another Unnamed Kingdom versus Lego. Sorry if I'm rushing this a little bit, guys, but trying to catch up here with all the wars in question. I mean, there's not too much to say either. But again, Lego, the bigger kingdom going into it, and they managed to maintain their position even though Unnamed Kingdom was making some good moves. Lego was still managing to keep that land on their side, probably with higher defensive numbers. But again, you see on the net worth here, they were doing more damage every wave, which allowed them to stay in the lead. Again, looking at the honor here. You can see they're pretty even par, pretty tough fight. But again, Lego had the strategy on their side. Maybe they were even using starvation tactics. But again, look, there's two provinces down here. So if that's the case, Unnamed Kingdom put up a really good fight because being down to two provinces um, is really significant. Whether those provinces left or not in the war, and that's these dips here in the honor. It's hard to say, but definitely there was some serious damage done at that point. I hope they didn't get PK'd, but maybe well, that's why their provinces aren't there anymore. But again, hard fought war. If they were down to two provinces, they definitely put up a good fight there. So good on both sides, and congratulations Lego for walking away with that win. Let's move on to the next one, Pain Train versus Recruit Send Mail. Let's look at the land. This war just concluded recently. Looks like Recruit was the big one going in, Pain Train the smaller, and they managed to get a little bit of an upper hand. But Recruit Send Mail obviously got wise to what was going on, and they managed to flip that pack around in what looks like one wave, two waves, and they were back on top again, more so than Pain Train ever was at any point. Eventually growing and growing until they're over one net worth bracket apart, or sorry, one land bracket apart. I would expect the net worth to tell us the same story here. Yep, similar story here. They're about one net worth bracket apart. Going into the end, into the ceasefire here. Again, Pain Train did a good amount of damage at some point during their waves. Maybe Recruit was just best gaining for the time at the beginning, and while Pain Train was taking out or semi taking out and chaining provinces, but eventually, I think they got caught on to what was wise, and there's some pretty significant dips here that could indicate that a province was getting taken out. That's quite a bit of net worth to vanish on one wave. Again, the honor kind of tells a similar story. Pain Train on top. They managed to pull up a little bit, but Recruit Send Mail just capitalizes on strategy, obviously here, and really gives them a hard run for their money. But again, Pain Train down one province. Did they lose that province or did they go on one short? And maybe that explains again, being short one attacker, four generals, could easily, push the limit and allow you to take out that one extra province over your enemy. So interesting war. Again, it'll be nice to catch some of them as they're in progress, but you can still see some of the damage here. Clearly, a lot of damage on Pain Train sustained. They have some provinces under 300, but nothing really significant. But if you look on the growth side of things, Recruit Send Mail definitely had a lot of bigger provinces, and that contributed to their victory here. Let's look at the next one. U.S. Ships Creek, or sorry, up Ships Creek, Shipwreck hostile. Let's take a look at the land here. Wow, okay, this is a nice hard-fought battle, back and forth, back and forth. Up Ship's Creek going in the bigger kingdom, Shipwreck Hostile coming out the winner. Very tight back and forth, but as you can see, Shipwreck Hostile seems to be gaining acres lead after every wave. Looking at the net worth, I would expect to see a similar scenario. Yep, I see Shipwreck doing a lot more damage on. That's pretty good though, pretty looking good. Up Ship's Creek definitely put in a good amount of effort fighting this war, but Shipwreck Hostiles strategy here just overpowered them a little bit more. Let's take a quick look at the provinces here. Definitely considerable more damage on Up Ship's Creek. Sorry, on Shipwreck Hostile provinces overall. But again, the war's ended, so it's hard to say looking at the land. Obviously, Up Ship's Creek had some really low acreage provinces, while again, the other kingdom probably had some unbreakables, depending on how they played this war. Looks pretty close. So I mean, they probably realized every wave they weren't going to be able to converge again, so they conceded and gave them the war. Looking at the honor, you can see it's a very tight, very close, hard-fought battle. And again, they kind of ended up in a similar position aside from this war win bonus. This is a pretty evenly matched war. Looks like Up Ship's Creek was more interested in the ceasefire than taking this war any further. We're down to the last 6 wars here. We're going to be done soon, guys, I promise. Dyslectic Defenders and Unnamed Kingdom. Let's take a look at the land. Wow, this is, here we go. Now we're getting into some of the nicer wars. These are the ones we're going to catch some more of the data on as it comes in. It's be more reliable, better looking graphs. So here we go. Dyslexic, you know, takes an early lead in terms of the land here. Again, it's a very hard fought battle back and forth. They really solid chains, although it looks like Red is managing to pull back, but Dyslexic is not going to let them get away with that. So it looks like they're in the middle of a wave right now. Yeah, again, you see Red's pulling back. This is the net worth chart. Looks like Red is dominating fairly strong, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dyslexic walks away with this. If Red can converge here, they're still on the right track, but if they can't converge on this wave, and it's quite possible that Dyslexic Defenders is going to take this war, depending on how this wave goes for Red. But again, look, Red is doing very powerfully in honor. They're taking off in the honor, so they're definitely doing a lot of damage. The question is that going to be enough? Looking at the provinces here, who's who, I can't tell. Dyslexic is blue and Unnamed is red. So in terms of provinces, it looks like red is doing, the old take them out trick. Look, they probably targeted some higher net worth provinces, sorry, that's what they did, higher honor provinces, most likely here. It's a good mix of human, fairy, human, avian, dwarf. Seem to have taken a considerable amount of damage, and another human. This is a good portion of their attack core. Whereas, on the flip side, Dyslexic has some of the bigger provinces here. So definitely, it looks like Unnamed Kingdom, even though they're doing a good amount of damage and taking a lot of honor, that's not going to win them the war. It seems like, unless they can really leverage that damage that they're doing for the honor that they're taking, and converge again here with the net worth. Otherwise, it's very possible Dyslexic can just walk away with this war. But this war is still in progress, so good luck, guys. Hopefully, everything continues to go well for you guys. You're on the right track. Now again here, take a quick look at Get a Job versus Chaos Never Ending. I think this is one of the last wars we looked at. Again, wow, see Chaos Never Ending is really taking this away. They really like starvation tactics at the beginning. This is very easy to use starvation tactics, especially if you're not facing against a lot of dryads, or you do have dwarfs that are half blood dwarfs that you're facing. Starvation tactics work really well. Chaos Never Ending definitely walking away with this war. It's just a matter of time now before the enemy withdraws. But good on Get a Job for maintaining the back and forth. As you can see, the honor is really tight here. So it's anybody's war at this point. So keep it up, guys. You're doing well. Let's go on to the next one. On the Road Again versus Monsters. We definitely looked at this one as well. Let's look at the land. Looks like Monsters is starting to take this one. On the Road Again, the bigger kingdom going in, but Monsters managed to flip that after a couple of waves here. It looks like these kingdoms are after min time. They're about 12 to 14 hours into their third day. It's nice hard fought war. You see the net worth's nice and close. Monsters again, the smaller kingdom. overtaking them, and then a little bit of back and forth. But as you can see, monsters is slowly on top of them. And again, with each successive wave, if monsters can continue to stay on top, that's bad news for the on the road again kingdom, because that's not a good sign. As you can see, monsters is walking away with the honor, so they're definitely doing lasting damage, and probably have a lot more ops deployed right now, doing a little bit more damage. But again, 2 provinces short, so that's probably all it is. I mean, you guys are going to a war 2 provinces short. No matter how good your strategy is, you're going to be in a hard-fought battle. But that would explain why Monster's honor is high. They have 2 more provinces doing attacks and ops, or combinations of. So good luck to you on the road again. You're going to need it. 2 provinces short against Monsters, because it looks like they're taking this one. On to the next one. Spirit Drinks Wargreed, please stay out versus Utopian Crossword, PM if solved. Let's take a quick look at the land. Wow, okay, so Utopia Crossword, looks like they're going to take this war in terms of the land. Definitely, every wave they're really kicking butt here. Take a look here, even numbers. So this comes down to strategy here. Yep, strategy. So you can see waves here. That looks like provinces are getting dropped pretty substantially. Yeah, you can see it here. The chains are just a lot deeper on Spirit Drinks versus Utopian Crosswords. They're doing a better job chaining. As you can see, the damage across the board here is just significant. I mean, they've clearly only been focusing on a handful of provinces. The guys are chaining too much. You need to diversify the damage that you're doing. However, I feel like, especially with so many orcs on their enemy side, this is probably a losing war. Um, I'd recommend withdrawing at min time on this one unless you have some aces up your sleeve, guys. These guys have grown quite significantly, so I do my best to maintain your land and net worth and honor, because you're going to be hard pressed to walk away from this without losing your shirts, especially the land, especially if these orcs manage to fill in those acres with defense, and these undead and dryads and dwarfs or dryads are all disabled. You guys are in a bad spot right now. So good job, Utopian Crossword, for taking advantage of that orc gain versus those dryad armies. Small dryad and their 1 bonus to income is not very effective, and it doesn't really matter if they have food or not. Um, Starvation doesn't need to be used to win wars. Um, it's the right amount of strategy combined with the right amount of attacks and ops, obviously without giving away too much. That's what we need to the war. So let's go to the next one here. This war started 11 hours ago, so without saying anything too much, this war hasn't really gone on very long. Maybe they have 1 or 2 waves. I can't get it right versus Monster Tomatoes. I mean, we look at the land here, can't get right. Clearly, losing quite a bit, but still gaining in terms of the land. They're not exactly, they're gaining acres overall. Well, not so much anymore. They're actually losing acres now. They were kind of at a spot where they were gaining acres, but I believe they're below, a little bit below where they started the war now. So Monster Tomatoes definitely taking the lead here. It's even numbers. So Monster Tomatoes with superior strategy here. I don't think can't get it right. Obviously, they can get this war right with Monster Tomatoes. However, it definitely looks like they're doing well in the honor fight. So lots of ops going back and forth, lots of good attacks. However, it seems like Monster Tomatoes is doing a little bit better job of mitigating everything. Even though they have some provinces under 300 acres, if you look at the big side of things, they got some provinces, quite a few provinces over 500 acres, whereas these guys don't even have a single province over 500 acres. So I think we know where that war is headed, especially looking at the net worth is not too obvious, but this is a pretty significant dip here. Whatever happened here was a pretty good chunk of their net worth lost here. Definitely something to that they would notice. There's a chance they could still pull out of this, but I'd be curious to see that against these orcs, these big orcs that they have now at the top with all this offense likely, and if they did a good job taking out all this dryad and orc offense down here, these guys are in a bad spot. They've lost most of their attackers. Or they just weren't very powerful in the first place. So definitely looks like Monster Tomato is going to walk away with this war. Even though it's 11 hours in. Let's look at the last war here: Unnamed Kingdom versus Lord of the Rings. Let's see. In terms of the land, it looks like a pretty even fight, back and forth. They're looking pretty good. Hard to say who's going to be a victor in this one. Definitely could go either way. You see, this is very strong strategy here from Lord of the Rings. Unnamed Kingdom is bigger than them the entire time. and they're going after this bigger kingdom. And look at that, looks like they're hostile. So just going into the war, which happens after this line here, because it's only been 7 hours. You know, this is pretty awesome to see. You know, they really went after a bigger kingdom here, even numbers again, and they really did a significant amount of damage here in the hostile to bring them down to more even terms to fight there. Kingdom Honors tells the same story. Lord of the Rings doing a great job taking out probably a province or two in the very beginning before the war is even declared. Yeah, you see they did some nasty work to this halfling and this orc and this other halfling, these two halflings and the orc, whereas they're pretty much untouched on their end. So very strong open for luck to both parties of the war. I'd like to thank you